Next is from Eddie Hogan. The subject is No Mills Still. Blood and Guts
No?
2023 had weeks, months of build. It had every big name in the card that AEW is apart from CM Punk. Yet even with all of that, the rating came in with the lowest audience in a Blood and Guts match has ever had. K100, what do you guys think about the backstage reaction might be to those guys working so hard you can still turn the ratings drop around? Could morale be low? Also, do you guys happen to notice that LA Knight chants were happening on that episode of Dynamite? This guy's so over that even huge AW marks are fans of him. I'll start with the second thing first. I did not notice that, but LA Knight is over huge. And number two, bro, you're just their number was up from the previous weeks like considerably, so that they're
Well, here's
the
how
morale's not going to be down for that.
morale's not going to be down. No.
No.
But here's
Plus-
how AEW
plus-
looks at it, and this was a press release. House of Wrestling received the following press release from Warner Brothers Discovery, blah, blah, blah. As the number one cable telecast on Wednesday, July 19th from 8 to 10, the live AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts show from the TD Garden dominated cable on the night, reaching more than 2.5 million total viewers on TBS. So you're probably thinking, right, but I thought they had 830,000 or whatever. Well, with the 2.5,
I think it's DVR.
yeah, I forget what you might know it. It's like DVR recordings and how many people watch it within 3 days, the plus threes or something. All that together adds up to 2.5 million. So, I mean, there is different ways to look at it now. People focus on the live ratings, which is important for sponsors. But,
Bro,
I mean, you could say,
guys,
well,
stop.
that show drew 2.5 million.
Joe, that's a dishonest argument.
I'm devil's advocating.
Because the DVR numbers have existed forever, but we don't report them because the gauges on your live shows. How did your show do from week to week? And that's
Right.
like Konnan. Bro, I worked on booking committees. We would spend our time booking a show, write a show. Vince would write the show. We get he'd send us in an email. We'd look at the show. I'd send him back. Hey, this maybe you should tweak this and stuff. We go to the production meeting. You read the show. If it, like people chime in, you change things. So to produce a show, the show airs. When the show airs and you get the rating in, and it wasn't as good as it was the week before, we wonder what do we do wrong?
Yeah, you want to.
Here's the thing, Glenn.
That's like right.
But if you're AEW or you're Warner Brothers, right? Because they put out the press release that Joe just read. I have not seen it, but if you're putting together numbers, you're thinking, all right, we made this number on TV. We made this number off of DVR. They weren't watching 2.5 Men or all these lead-in shows like Big Bang and Star Wars and all this other. They were watching this wrestling show. They DVR'd this wrestling show. So you take that number, and then I guess this is a new metric, plus the next 3 days, because sometimes people don't get around to watching it until the next 3 days. So you take the totality of that. They're watching your show. They're not watching another show. You got to take that into account.
Okay, but here's where I'll say that's a defeatist attitude, where you're basically saying you're complacent that your show wasn't your show wasn't
It's
good.
not a defeatist attitude. I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because if our show was on live and we did a number, and then we did a DVR number that we were monetizing off of, and then they took into account the people that listened to us 3 days later because that day they were too busy doing something else, bro. It's all valid, I think. But go ahead.
Okay, but I will say, and this is common sense. Okay,
right?
Is that, bro? If you're doing that in the weeks where you're underperforming, but you're not doing it in the weeks when your numbers are good, like the DVR numbers are going to be better when your ratings were better that week. So trying to sit there and say okay, the DVR numbers, our ratings weren't good this week, but if you add in the DVR numbers, my thing is take time out. We should be doing that and announcing that every week. You're just announcing when the number is good one week. You're not talking about the DVR numbers. They're obviously probably up for that week. Okay,
well,
that's my point. You're not mentioning that. You're only mentioning the DVR numbers on the weeks you do bad. Okay, so the DVR numbers are symptomatic of the rating. Like we can sit there and argue about DVR numbers, but there's no way that when a show does good, DVR numbers are down, and when a show does bad, DVR numbers are up. That's not logical. Okay, so bringing up the DVR numbers is like a trick you're using to try to make your show sound better when the reality
I
is
would
like,
disagree.
dude, our show wasn't that good this week. Not many people watched it. What did we do wrong? That's what I think the tone should be.
Joe,
right?
Joe, because I forgot. Can you just read the first line of that press release again? Because I don't think I heard it all correctly. I just want to make sure.
As the number one cable telecast on Wednesday, July 19th from 8 to 10 Eastern, the live AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts show from TD Garden in Boston dominated cable on the night, reaching more than 2.5 million total viewers on CBS.
And then, can you read the other part? Well,
okay, well, this is, let me see. The show garnered
the part about the DVR and
Yeah. The show garnered a 1.03 L3 rating among adults 25 to 54. 17% increase over the prior week and was TBS's highest rated most watched primetime in that demo in more than 2 months.
But what show is this? Blood and Guts?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Blood and Guts did well. Well, this could
right.
I'm not even bringing up Blood and Guts because Blood and Guts we talked about. We did a good number.
Right.
Like that's specific to that number.
Team shows always do better, right?
Yeah. Right. So I'm like, so that's not even like that's not even part of the discussion. My issue is because this guy was just being a hater talking about the year before, but like we obviously knew that show did better, right? And it was a better written show. We put that show over. Right. My question is when the numbers underperform, is when they try to bring up the metrics that you didn't bring up the week that it did perform, and try to say that's where I think there's a dishonesty in the narrative, and it tries to hide the fact you're trying to protect themselves. Look, bro, the show wasn't that good this week. Write a better show for next week. The number, like you know from doing this, and I know from doing this, if people are engaged and are wanted, if the show is good, they can't wait for the next week's show to air. And that's the way you gauge your show. If more people watched next week, your show the week before was good. Your show this week was good throughout the show. Let's try to improve on that. It just seems like wrestling is constantly trying to make excuses for poor ratings. When we talk about and review these shows every single week, and we point out mistakes they're making, and it's like, well, we're out of touch with everything. It's like, no, dude, we're talking about mistakes you're making, which are going to affect your ratings. Number one, not letting new viewers make it easy for them to acclimate to the product. You don't tell us who these people are. Kenta, who was the guy, Ibushi, that was the fit?
Right.
Like nobody knows who that guy is. You did a poor job of explaining to me who they're like. You're doing things like that. You're assuming everybody that watches your show is like fan, but like you're not doing things to draw the new fans in and get them engaged. And we talk about that every single week, and that's their main problem right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but I just think that this is what I've come to the conclusion, bro. They have a niche audience already. So 800,000, 900,000 that are going to follow, do whatever they want, buy whatever they sell. That's cool. And they over deliver to their hardcore fans. Is that a bad thing? Well, not really, because those are the guys spending money. But okay, now if you make 2 million, why wouldn't you want to make 4 million or 8 million or 10 million like WWE does? So, they have, I think their biggest problem is because who wouldn't want to have 3 wrestling shows? And on top of that, most of the time they're like top 3 in their time slot in their night. Dynamite, I'm talking about.
Right.
But bro, they haven't really done anything, which is the most important thing they need to do to get new viewers and expand that base.
And you're not going to do that with one guy writing all of the shows and working for a soccer team or working for a football team. You need help and assistance.
Right.
I don't even call it help. I would just call it assistance.
Yeah.
You need somebody like dude, it's like you want, for example, I tweeted this weekend. I was at work. I turned on Collision while I was at work, and I watched it from start to finish, right? And I tweeted out, Collision's an easy show to miss. And I got ratio, like people just, they're fan, this is the best show. And it's underwhelming in the ratings, right? But like my thing is like, people are like the things they're talking about, pretending that like why the show is good. It's very clear cut. The storylines are more clear. So I'm like, okay, what storyline is Miro in? Like, what storyline is the Bullet Club Golden where like I just watched Juice and the Jay White guy beat two random wrestlers, two thigh slappers of the Andretti. What's the guy's name? Action Andretti and some other. And they're just bro, it's like it's like a long match, and they just beat them. And they beat them up afterwards. They didn't call anybody out. There's no forwarding to the story. There's no angle or something. Miro comes out. He squashes Camarado after giving him. Actually, won a squash. He gave Camarado stuff and just beats him. He didn't call anybody out. There's no angle. I'm like, why am I like?
Whatever happened, and Joe would probably know. Whatever happened to Camarado? Did he go back to his cave, or what's the deal with him?
He just wrestled this collision, right?
Yeah, it looked like he might be used as like a collision guy, but I mean, he's not getting pushed or anything.
I'm watching Tyra and the Sky Blue in a thigh slap fest.
Right.
It was atrocious, right? And Taya just beats her, and then she gets on the mic afterwards and challenges Britt Baker, and then they're going to have a match. And I'm not missing anything here. Like, this is not exciting.
Where's the build-up? Right.
Well, there's no, bro. The thing is,
I want to see this match. Right.
What was making me interested in watching this next week? And literally nothing. Then they had an interview at the beginning of the show with a bunch of guys. Darby.
Wait a minute. You're going to tell me wait 1 second. You're going to tell me that you were not interested when Darby Allin told Orange Juice to fight his friend because he was his friend when he was homeless? That didn't get you inside. That did not get you amped up to watch that match.
Well, that was Dynamite. Okay, so then Darby. Okay. So they come out with an interview on a Ricky Starks interview to open up Collision, and he's doing kind of like he's going back to he's doing a heelish interview. Which is good for his guy. He's cocky, he's doing it, which is better for him because he's a more natural heel. Bro, Punk comes out. They don't even play his music. He just walks out. Okay?
Right.
So you don't get the pop in there. You saw it. He comes out.
He got booed.
Right. And then he started healing on the fans in New Jersey and the hockey team. Then he tells Ricky Starks, this is the gist of the wrangle, you can't beat me clean, basically.
Right.
So then Christian Cage comes out for some reason. And I don't even know why he was out there, but then Darby comes out. And Darby has a match coming up against Luchasaurus. So after Punk is healed on the fans, Darby comes in the ring and basically buddies up to Punk and then challenges him and Punk against Starks and Cage in a match for later, which there's nothing on the line or anything. Bro, they set that up for later, and it's a 30-minute match for the main event. And I'm like asking people, okay, what is interesting here? Why should I be interested in this stuff is all I'm asking you, because you're asking me to watch a 2-hour show here. There's nothing interesting. Right. And that's just a basic criticism, that's my opinion. All you other fans can look at it and say, like, well, this show is ready. They're talking about it's the best show now, and I'm like, okay, bro, nothing's happening though. And argue with me, it's like, well, where's the soap opera storyteller next week? Like, what?
Not only that, your top babyface just got booed in Jersey, and I don't know.
He got beat again.
Yeah,
this is the big stage of the company, right? He's supposed to come back and bring him on, right? And he's lost twice now.
Yeah. Because he probably wants to show everybody I'll put people over. So
my whole thing is, how much more interesting would the show would be if you had Punk in there and everything, and Kenny Omega, the Elite, came out and beat out of the guy.
Bro, how great would this be?
How much more interest would the fans get from that? Right.
Okay, tell me this. By the way, I heard they all signed, by the way, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman. Okay? So, I don't have that for sure, so don't quote me any websites.
But if that's true, what's the hang-up here? Is the question, right?
Imagine this. All of the sudden, Omega comes out. He calls Don Callis out. Don Callis comes out. He starts beating up Don Callis. Takeshita,
Right,
what's
it's
his name? Takeshita, which I actually met in TJ, very nice guy, came out. He got on Kenny Omega, right?
Mhm.
Bro, CM Punk comes out. He stands in the middle of the ring and he's just watching. Next thing you know, the Young Bucks come out. CM Punk turns around, looks at the Young Bucks, and in between all three of them, they beat the out of Kenny Omega, and that's the new Don Callis family. Bro, how much heat would that get?
I mean, you just have to intertwine these guys in a storyline.
Would you not watch that the next week?
I mean, I'd watch anything with interaction with them because I'd want to see what happens the next
specifically
week.
ask you that angle.
Yeah,
I specifically ask you that
For
angle.
sure.
Would you,
Of
Joe?
course.
Would
Yeah.
you?
100%.
Of course.
There it is. There it is.
Any interaction with those characters, like, and you could do, hey, your swerves are,
Right.
bro. If the iron is hot, it's you can
Right.
bro. Your audience will. There's people sitting on the side like me that were I had to watch the show, but I'm like, but I told you, bro. If Punk comes back and he's not in an angle with those guys, I'm really not that interested. And the numbers from the time that show started have shown that people are not that interested in Punk. Doing the losing, bro. They want to relive that storyline. So.
But I think, bro, if you had a crew where it was Don Callis at the head,
Oh yeah,
the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, I'm gonna call him Tack because I keep his name, and then you had on the other side, Omega, Jericho, who's now the baby face, right? And let's say, for example, MJF, right? That's a hell of a thing right there.